First question. What year were you born, on what date, and what day of the week was it? Did your parents tell you anything about the day that you were born?
I was born in 1951 on June 20th. It was a Wednesday. And if memory serves, Mom said I was the only baby in Fremont Hospital at that time. So I kind of got a lot of attention there.
That's cool. That is cool.
I was born in 1949 on March the 8th. I don't know what day of the week it was.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday.
Do you remember anything about?
I don't remember anything. I was awfully young.
I was also young.
That's it.
Okay. Where were you born?
I was born in St. Anthony, Idaho.
Nice.
I was born in Shelley, Idaho.
Nice. Why were you given the first and middle name, if you've got one, that you have?
Mom told me that Sherry was the name of a character that she saw in a play, and she liked the name.
Huh.
So she decided to use that. I don't know where Lynn came from.
Just sounded good. Rhymed.
It just went, it flowed, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. Grandpa, how about you?
Because I was Irish.
Because
My
you're
dad wanted to name me Sean, C-E-O-N. But Mom wouldn't hear of it, so they settled on Patrick. Lloyd was my old man's name. And Kearney. In Irish it means noble, grey soldier.
It does? Never knew that. That's cool.
Now you do.
What's your first and most vivid memory?
Mine was, we lived in Las Vegas a short time when I was young. And my uncle had a home down there, but he didn't have any furniture in it. But he let us live there. And so I remember a really long hallway. Mom was down on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor, and Uncle Jay was chasing me down that hallway. And I was giggling and screaming, but yeah, that's my first vivid memory.
That's cool. Grandpa, what about you? What's your most vivid memory that you can remember? Your first one.
I don't recall.
Don't recall? Okay.
I can't remember if it, well, my first most vivid memory. It's pretty boring around our place.
What was the apartment or house that you liked that you grew up in? How many bedrooms did it have? Bathrooms? What was your bedroom like?
We moved so much that we had a ton of different houses. My favorite house that we lived in when I was a kid was the farmhouse on my grandpa's ranch up in Teton.
Oh.
And it had 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Kitchen was huge. I just remember how big that kitchen was. And what I remember most about my bedroom is that it had 10-foot ceilings, and it was cold, really cold in the winter. It was nice in the summer, but it was really cold in the winter.
Oh, geez.
If I recall, when I was small, we lived in the basement of a big old house, probably had 2 bedrooms, maybe.
Yeah?
That's it.
What about the one that you grew up in?
That would probably be Mom and Dad's last house. 3 bedrooms. What else?
How many bathrooms?
1.
One. What was it like? Do you remember anything specific? Like, what was your bedroom like?
Well, the house was logs. Bedroom was just plain.
Do you remember that it had logs on the outside?
I don't remember the logs. I remember being told that it has logs. Ever since I can remember, it had the siding.
Yeah,
That's what I remember.
yeah, but it was logs underneath that siding.
But Mom always said it always was the log house.
Yeah.
So I know it is the log house. Can you describe the neighborhood you grew up in?
Well, that house that I was describing was in Teton. It was kind of out in the country. It's about 2 miles northeast of the community of Teton. So neighbors weren't real close, but we did live just a little ways away from the Sidways, my friend Tana. And the one thing I remember is winters at that time were really bad, and we used to get snowed in all the time during the
Really?
winter months. So.
Oh man, that sounds horrible. Grandpa, what about you? Can you describe the neighborhood you grew up in? Did you guys have neighbors around you? Kids around you?
It's the same neighborhood I live in now. I just lived out further down the street. But there weren't a lot of kids that me and Gail just hung out together mostly.
Huh. That works.
They were best friends.
BFFs for life.
Yeah. Good buddies.
Tell me about your parents. Where were they born? When were they born? And what memories do you have of them?
Dad was born the 26th of July in 1930. I think in Sugar City. I'm not sure, but I think. Mom was born on the 21st of March 1934 in Teton. And the thing I remember most, I think my dad was the ultimate cowboy. He wanted to be a farmer and a rancher his whole life. He would always offer those services to any farmer or rancher that needed him, that he'd love to work for him. He ended up being a plumber and a pipe fitter. He worked for Bingham Mechanical in Idaho Falls. Mom was a homemaker, an amazing cook, a meticulous housekeeper. They both had a wicked sense of humor, both of them. And their families, their brothers and sisters were, and family was really, and friends were really important to them.
That's cool. Grandpa, what about you? Where were if you know where your mom and dad were born, when were they born, if you know, and what memories do you have of them?
Your mom and dad. I write that
See.
down.
Mom was born in Shelley.
Mom and dad.
Dad was born in St. Anthony. My mother had a pretty good sense of humor. My dad was kind of a hardcore old bird. That's it.
Okay. Who was more strict, your mom or your dad? And do you have a vivid memory of something you did that you were disciplined for?
My mom was the most strict because she was the one that was with us all the time. So the most discipline we got was from her. I did get a boot in the butt from my dad one time. He wore cowboy boots all the time. And I got a boot in the butt at one time, I remember, for something that was Debbie's fault. But I got the boot in the butt for it.
Oldest child syndrome.
Yeah, always getting blamed.
Just kidding. Grandpa, what about you? Who was more strict, your mom or your dad?
Oh man.
Do you remember a time that you were disciplined by him? That was like a vivid memory.
Yeah, I got drunk one night. My uncle turned me in, and I went home and got beat up like I was in a fight with another man.
Oh man, that's not good. Stinking uncles. Did your parents have a good marriage?
Well, my parents were only married, they were married less than 18 years. And so I'm sure they had their fights. I remember fights and mom slamming the door and getting in the car and leave. But, and that was usually over money.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, they the time that they had together, was a pretty good marriage.
Good.
I think they enjoyed each other. They had fun together.
Yeah. Good. Grandpa, how about you? What did your parents have a good marriage?
I would say from so-so to not really, going from early to late.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. How did your family earn money? How did your family compare to others in the neighborhood? Oh, I don't like this question where it asks richer or poor.
Yeah.
But how did your family how did they earn money?
Dad, like I said, worked for farmers and ranchers when he could, and then after he started working for being a mechanical, and that was in around the mid-60s that he started that job. We never did have a lot of money ever, and anything that we did have, I'm pretty sure our grandparents helped out with furniture and probably rent sometimes, things like that. But our homes were always clean. I don't ever remember going hungry, ever.
Yeah.
So they took care of us,
Yeah.
but we weren't rich by any means.
What about you, Grandpa? How did your parents make a living, basically?
The old man worked at Montgomery Ward for 16 years, selling plumbing supplies, starving to death. And we never had a lot of money. And they never, when Mom started working later on over to Pillsbury, and then the old man started working over there, then they started to accrue some money.
I didn't know Grandma worked at Pillsbury. Oh, cool. I just knew.
RT French at the time.
Oh, nice. What kinds of things did your family spend money on when you guys did, like, if you did like family vacations or family trips, camping trips or anything?
I don't remember any big purchases. Well, Dad would bring home cars every once in a while, just old beater cars that Mom was not aware that we were going to be getting.
Yeah.
The one big purchase I remember is a boat. He bought a ski boat. She didn't know anything about it. He come toting it home, and they couldn't afford it, but we got to use it. Sorry. We had a lot of fun with it. We all learned to ski. We took it to family reunions. My aunt worked in Island Park at a cabin up there, and so and it was right on the reservoir. So we'd take it up there and have family reunions, and everybody'd go out on the boat. It was the highlight of the family reunion. We had a lot of fun with it, but it was the first thing that was sold after he died. So.
Grandpa, what about you? What kind of things did your family spend money on?
Clothes and food and rent.
Yeah? Some good stuff?
We went one time up to West Yellowstone for a couple, 3 days because somebody the old man knew owned a motel up there and let him have the room for free.
Was it fun?
So.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough money to do anything outside it.
Just
Whatever,
drive
we took
around.
all the lunch, I think Mom took all the food to make sandwiches and all that kind of crap with. Maybe we'd have breakfast in a cafe. But we didn't have money for anything other. Went in the park one day. That's it.
Okay, good. How many brothers and sisters do you have? When were they born? What memories do you have of each of them? And when were you of them when you were growing up?
I have two sisters and one brother. Debbie was born on the 7th of February in 1954, and probably in St. Anthony, not really sure on her. Laurie was born on December 13th, 1957 in Rexburg. And Todd was born on the 13th of October, also in Rexburg. Debbie was a troublemaker and a tease. She tortured Laurie when she was just constantly tormenting that kid. I would be left home alone to babysit or to kind of watch out with them to babysit, and we were always fighting, Debbie and I. You wouldn't know that to be around her now. You wouldn't know that she had that kind of a personality, but she was the biggest tease. Laurie was a sweetheart. She was just a sweet little girl. And Todd was a typical little boy, busy, never stopped. He was just a busy kid.
Yeah. That's awesome. Grandpa, how about you? How many brothers and sisters do you have? When were they born? And what memories do you have of each of them from when you were growing up?
One brother and three sisters. I don't remember the dates. I think my brother was born September 11th, 1951.
September 16th,
16th.
1950.
That's close. I don't know when
Ginny was
Go ahead.
Ginny was born the 22nd of July.
And she made sure that me and Gail was getting our butt kicked all the time.
Those little sisters.
She was born in 52 or 53, I think. Joyce was born in 58 in April. And Carrie was born in 64, I think, in December.
You're that much older than Carrie?
He was in high school when Carrie was born.
Oh, I guess that makes
That
sense.
that's a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
She had a lot of health problems.
Yeah, she made Mom guarantee her 20 years. After she got a little bit bigger, saw that her parents were a lot older than everybody else's. I forgot what I was going to say.
What memories do you have of each of them from growing up?
Virginia kept us in trouble, and me and Gail was always buddies. Virginia, she was good quite a bit of the time, but when she'd get bored, she'd go in and start bawling and going and tell the old man when I was hit her, and then we'd both get our ass kicked. The other girls was not very old when I got drafted. And then I was gone basically for 3 years, so when I got back, Carrie was still young, but Joyce was kind of grown up, but I got married and so didn't spend a lot of time with him.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have grandparents? Where were they born? When were they born? And what do you remember about them? And when did they pass away?
My notes. Yes, I did have grandparents.
No, we wouldn't
They
be-
were awesome people. I love them all. My dad's father was James Frederick. He was born August 29th, 1884 in Ogden, Utah. He died June 21st, 1967 in Sugar City. He worked as a farmer and a rancher. He was caretaker for the Sugar City Cemetery for a while. Worked at the sugar factory there. He was really tall. That's one thing I remember about him. He brought us treats when he'd come to visit. He always had them tucked in the glove box of his little pickup. He was really religious, very religious, and but he was a real kind man. My grandmother on my dad's side died when Dad was only 13 years old.
Oh.
And her name was Annie Hazel Ogden. She was born in 1899 in Enterprise, Utah. She died May 17th, 1943 in Ogden. said cerebral tumors. She had a brain tumor. So she was a school teacher. You're following history there. She was a school teacher. She had a beautiful singing voice and played piano by ear. I guess she was phenomenal. She played piano by ear, and her daughter does as well.
Oh, that's cool.
My mom's parents, my grandpa was Thomas Gardner. He was born June 27th, 1886 in Teton, and died November 4th, right after we were married, 1971 in Teton. He was a farmer. He wasn't very tall. My grandma was taller than he was. He loved his cows. His cows were like his second family. He took good care of his cattle. He was a fast walker. To this day, I bet I could not keep up to him.
And you're a fast walker.
He'd step it out. He whistled when he'd drive his pickup. That's one thing everybody remembers about him. He was a very patient man, and he spoiled my mother rotten. My grandma was Marie Nyberg Gardner, and she was born December 16th, 1891 in Liberty, Idaho. It's down by Grace, somewhere down in that Paris area.
Yeah.
Down there. She died July 22nd, 1966 in St. Anthony. She had beautiful white hair. That's one thing I remember about her. She was an immaculate housekeeper, phenomenal cook. She was a loving grandma and mother, and they had a singing group. They called them the Singing Mothers, and they'd always perform at community events and in church a lot. She had a really pretty voice, pretty alto voice.
Oh, that's cool. All right, Grandpa. About your grandparents. Where were they born? When were they born? And what do you remember about them? And when did they pass away?
Yeah, my dad's side, Thomas Fred Kearney was my grandpa, and Bertha Mae Bowman was my grandmother. Fred was born in Wilford, Idaho. He was a carpenter. My grandma Bertha was born in Beaver City, Nebraska.
Really?
And she was a homemaker, but she worked in the motel business for probably 20 years after he died. He died when I was really young. My other grandparents were Holger Christensen and Laura Killian Christensen. They were both born in
See if you can pronounce that name.
Nordjylland, Denmark.
Grandpa was.
Grandpa was, and Laura was born in Venice, Utah. See, she died in 1953. My grandpa died in 1960. And my grandmother I was born on her birthday, so we'd have dinner together after we was married every year on the birthdays.
Grandma Kearney.
Oh,
Your mom knew her.
she did it?
Yeah. In fact, we've got a 5-generation
Oh, wait,
picture.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Grandma was there.
What do you have memories of? What are your memories of them?
Well, Holger Christensen, he'd give us a pocket knife once in a while. Other than that, he'd just sit in his chair. He had colon cancer. I think that's what he died of. Same thing the old man did. Grandma, she was always kind of not strict, but to the point. Said what she needed to say. Didn't waste any words. About like me. On my mother's side, I didn't really feel comfortable being around those grandparents. So if we'd go out there on some family gatherings or whatever, all the kids were kept outside anyway. We weren't allowed to play in the house or run in the house or anything like that. So And my grandpa Kearney died real early. My grandma Kearney was the only one that was around long enough to do anything with, and we'd go to high C every now and again. Visitors, that's about it.
Nice. Did you have any pets?
We had cats, but only to keep the mice out. My mother hated cats. We had several dogs, I'm sure, growing up, but I can only remember 3 very well. One, my folks worked up at Stoddard Mill in Island Park. It was a lumber mill. And Mom worked as a cook up there while Dad worked in the mill. And I wasn't very big, but they had this boxer that would kind of guard me, and if I looked like I was going to cross the bridge to go from where the cabin where Mom was cooking was over to the mill, he would stand and growl at me and make me go back. You know, he'd guide me back to the cabin. Mom said he was the best dog, really good babysitter. One year for Christmas we got a white Samoyed dog. I remember Dad opening the front. He says, "Did you hear that noise out there?" And he opens the front door, and here comes this little white bundle of fur with a big red bow around her neck. And her name was Cindy. And the last dog we ever had was, her name was Duchess. And Mom and Dick had her, even when they lived out at the house there in Shelley on Taylor Highway. They had her for a while.
Aww.
She's the last dog I remember.
And what kind was she?
She was just kind of a mix. She really don't know what breed she was,
Yeah.
but she's a good dog.
Nice.
She wouldn't eat pancakes unless they had syrup on them. She was kind of fussy.
Duchess.
Yeah, Duchess. Exactly.
What about you, Grandpa? Did you have any pets?
Oh my gosh.
We had cats and dogs, alley cats and Heinz 57 dogs.
How many dogs?
Heinz 57.
Oh, hi. I thought you said
Mixed
157. I'm like, what the heck? Sorry.
I don't know how many,
Tons.
And squirrels.
5 or 6.
Lots of squirrels.
The squirrels loved your parents' house.
Grandpa
What?
Peanuts.
Yeah, that's literally how I remember Great Grandpa Kearney's grandpa with the peanuts.
Yeah.
Because they would feed the squirrels. Do you have any pets that you love the most?
Not really.
Joe.
I had a couple I liked.
Yeah. Nice. What were you like as a child? What did you like to eat? What did you do for fun? What were your favorite toys or games? Did you ever have a secret place or a favorite hiding spot?
I never had any of those things.
You never had a favorite hiding spot?
No toys.
Me and Gail played outside all the time.
So nature was your playground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of toys that I recall.
What were you like as a child? Were you a little hellion or what?
Not really. Me and Gail never got in a fight in our whole lives. We just entertained ourselves because there wasn't money to buy shit extra.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good at entertaining yourselves then. What about you, Grandma?
Well, I don't recall ever getting in trouble, so I think I was probably a pretty good, well-behaved kid. I hated conflict, still do. I ate whatever was given to me, except for creamed corn, and I will not eat creamed corn to this day. So, you know, you get what you get type thing.
Yeah.
For entertainment, we just played outside. That's what you did. in those days. You just played outside with your friends. We'd swim in the sit-away ditch or in the mill race. That was a canal that kind of ran behind the house. I only remember having one doll. Her name was Betsy Wetsy, and you'd feed her a bottle and she'd pee. We played hopscotch, that kind of stuff. Do you know what jacks are? Have you ever played jacks?
I've seen
Jacks
them.
in a ball?
Yeah.
We play jacks. So, no secret hiding places. Didn't have anything like that. Unless it was a blanket over the clothesline, you know, and then you'd pretend it was a tent or a house or whatever. But
Yeah.
as far as any secret from anybody else, no.
Good to know.
I did have an erector set
You did?
one time I got for Christmas.
Nice.
What's that?
An erector set?
It just had a bunch of metal pieces and little motors and screws and all that kind of stuff, and you could build buildings or equipment or whatever.
Huh.
I don't recall. I lost a whole bunch of stuff for it in a hurry, so.
That's cool though. Okay. What did you used to wear? Like, what was your like everyday outfit look?
Well, just play clothes, which you didn't have many. For school, we'd get one new dress to start school. You had to wear dresses in those days. You could not wear pants to school. Didn't matter what the weather was. You wore dresses to school. So anything else that I had was generally hand-me-downs from, I had a couple of cousins that were just a little bit older than I was. And so anything that they had that they'd outgrown, my aunts would send it to Mom for me. And then I'd give them to Debbie and down the line. So hand-me-downs were a big thing, but that's, you got one new dress to start school and maybe some new shoes.
Dang.
So, but play clothes were just the old stuff that was worn out, and
Yeah.
so.
Cool.
That's what we wore to school. I just run around in Levi's t-shirts, $1 tennis shoes.
That you could wear that to school too. Did you have to wear anything specific to school? No. Nice.
They just picked on the girls.
Hey.
They didn't care about the guys. But the girls had.
Well, that's just silly. Did you ever get an allowance? And if you did, how much did you get? And did you spend it the right way or save it? Or like what kind of stuff would you buy?
Never got an allowance.
Never got an allowance?
Nope.
Grandpa, you never did too? Well,
Me and Gail would run around and gather beer bottles and pop bottles and tried to make enough money so we could both get in the movie. If we could if we could both get a quarter, we could get in the movie and have a bag of popcorn and a drink.
for 25 cents?
Back in our day, if you could gather up empty pop bottles, you could turn them back into the store for what, 2 cents a bottle? Something
Nickel
like
for
that.
some of them.
Some of them were a nickel. But the more you could find to gather to take back to the store, then the stores would reimburse you. And that's how a lot of kids earn spending money, was running around with wagons and buckets and gathering up pop bottles.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
25 cents to get in a movie. That's cool.
With treats.
Yeah, like a bag of popcorn, soda. Like
Yeah.
what? It's like $25 now for that.
Yeah, forget about it. Yep.
Let's see here. What responsibilities did you have at home when you were young?
Well, we were both the oldest. I was the go-to babysitter when I got old enough to do that. So that was basically my responsibility. We had to keep things picked up. We'd help fold laundry. As we got older, the chores would increase, doing dishes and vacuuming, sweeping, things like that. As long as we could do them to my mother's specifications. She was really fussy, so. But she came by that natural, because so was my grandma.
What about you, Grandpa?
Taking out the clinkers. And then the lawn when I got big enough to push a lawnmower because it wasn't power mowers.
Do you know what clinkers are?
Mm-mm. What are clinkers?
It's residue that's left over after your coal stove burns. Coal had leftovers. Nowadays it doesn't. It burns completely up, I think, for the most part. Clinkers, we just take them out and throw them in the street.
That is crazy. What other responsibilities did you have? Anything? Clinkers, lawn mowing.
That was enough.
It probably was.
Well, filling the stoker up.
With coal.
So you had to.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, I just think it's interesting. I didn't know that you guys had to do that.
We had the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sure like a big gray box, and you put the coal in one end, and you take the clinkers out. It's
Out
just
of the furnace.
yeah, it was just
That's so funny.
that's how we heated our home.
That isn't it? Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. What kind of school did you go to? Were you a good student? What was your favorite subject and your least favorite? And who were your friends? Like, did you have a good group of friends? And who was your favorite teacher and why?
Oh gosh, Taylor. Public school wasn't like a private school or anything like that. We just went to, but I went to several.
Yeah.
1 through 8, grades 1 through 8 were all in one building. And there was one class for each grade. The one thing I remember about school is the school lunches. We had amazing cooks, and you got a hot lunch for 25 cents a day. And it was all you could eat. I wasn't the smartest kid in the class, but I did okay. Wasn't the dumbest.
That's good.
I liked English and spelling. My least favorite subject would always have to be science. I never did care for science. Where I went to several different schools, I had several different best friends. At each school you meet a new group. So Bonnie Willard, Jackie Wilding, just several people at different schools. The one friend that I had was Tana Sidaway that lived just down the road from us in Teton, and I still have a good relationship with her. We still, it's just like old home week whenever we're together. We always have a lot of fun together. My favorite teacher was Mrs. Schofield. She was my 3rd grade teacher. She taught me penmanship, and I will always be grateful to her for that.
So you have
I
the
get
pretty,
complimented on that all the time.
your
And
handwriting's the
I credit
prettiest.
that woman. She was an amazing teacher. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. McNee, was another favorite. She was really a sweet, kind lady.
Nice. What about your grandpa? Did you go to public school?
Yeah,
What was your favorite subject?
I didn't have a favorite subject.
What was your least favorite?
Math.
I'm with you on that one. Least favorite? What about your group of friends?
Does this go up through high school?
Yeah?
I like biology the second year I took it.
The second go around was the best round.
You picked right up on it.
I had tons of friends. I'm not going to start naming them and go on all day.
You did.
You were Mr. Personality.
Mr.
Everybody loved you.
Mostly Danny Kelsey, don't you think?
When we was little and all through school basically,
Yeah.
from the 1st grade on up. Because there wasn't any kindergarten or any of that crap.
Well, what about, did you have a favorite teacher?
I did. I spent part of 1 year in that class had 5 different grades in it. But I can't remember her name. That was probably the 3rd grade or something like that,
Dang,
but I wouldn't remember her name.
that's crazy. Question is, did you have any heroes or role models when you were a child?
Mine would be my Grandma Gardner, my mom's mom.
Grandma Gardner?
Mm-hmm. I admired that woman, and I do to this day.
That's awesome.
I wish I was more like her.
Grandpa, you said you shook your head when I said that. What about you? Do you have any role models or heroes?
Maybe my mother.
She was a good lady.
That's it.
Okay. How did you spend your summer holidays? Like, what did you guys do in the summer? What were your favorite activities?
I didn't
Play
have
on.
anything to spend in the summer.
Played outside. Teton did have a girls softball team, so I was on the softball team. Like I said earlier, we'd go swimming. But the softball was the big thing. I was a pretty good hitter, lousy at fielding.
Same.
Yeah, there you go.
What about you, Grandpa? What did you do in the summer?
Baseball.
Hey, I like it. What position did you play?
Pitcher.
Pitcher?
He was a lefty.
Oh, yeah. I actually remember you telling me that. How did your family celebrate holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Memorial Day? Did lots of relatives get together? Like, what did you guys have traditions? Like, what kind of good food was there? Is there something specifically that you always remember you guys had for food?
Same old shit. We didn't have traditions per se. Once in a while, get-togethers. Couple, Mom and some of her sisters. I guess the tradition would be after we got done eating, they'd send us all down to the movie house, because the movie house was open on Thanksgiving, and all the kids spent their afternoons down in the movie house. That's it.
Good. What about you,
I
Grandma?
didn't realize that. That's cool.
What about you, Grandma?
Thanksgivings, I don't remember ever having them at our house when I was a kid, but at Grandma's. And you'd only could do a few at a time, a few people at a time, because their house was really small.
Oh.
Christmas Eve, we would read the story from the Bible, and we had a cardboard cutout type thing that was 3-dimensional that we put together as they told the story. Then we got that in primary. New Year's, we never did anything. Easter, if there was money available, you might get a new dress to wear to church. Memorial Day was the big deal in my mom's family. Big deal.
What do you guys go do?
We would just do the decorating, and then we'd all meet back at Grandma's for a big family picnic out on her front lawn. Generally, her fried chicken, Mom's chocolate cake, Aunt Muffet's macaroni salad, which was to die for. You guys rave about mine, but she wrote the book.
Really?
It was just fun, you know. But Memorial Day was a big deal to my mom up until the time, even before, when she couldn't go physically, she couldn't go. But it was still important to her that it be done. And now me and Lisa go and we still tell the stories and laugh our butts off. It's so disrespectful, but we stand out there and tell the stories that my mom and her sisters used to tell year after year. It was fun. And then we go to lunch.
I like it.
Did you have it? Do you want to add something?
Oh, you did.
What?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Back in those days, most little girls, you were going to grow up to be a mom. If you thought of a vocation, it was generally a teacher or a nurse. But I never really gave much thought to what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you, Grandpa? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I don't know yet.
The jury's still out.
Still trying to figure it out?
Well, I ended up being a mechanic, but it wasn't because I liked it.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. What was the best gift you remember ever receiving as a child?
A bicycle for Christmas.
Both of you?
Mhm.
Both bikes? That's cool.
Yep. My dad gave me a watch the year before he died.
Do you still have
I
it?
still have the face. The band is long gone, but I still have the face of that watch.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, a bike. That was always the big gift as a kid. You got a bike.
What big world events do you remember from the time you were growing up?
You'd probably agree on these.
President Kennedy getting shot.
Yeah, that was the big one.
Yeah.
I remember watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when they first came to America. I remember watching them, their first performance on Ed Sullivan.
I got
Vietnam War,
Oh, yeah.
the moon landing in '69.
You guys had huge ones.
Yeah, there were biggies.
Huge.
Yeah.
The first 200-mile-an-hour drag race ever run in
What?
the state of Idaho at the Pocatello drag strip.
There you go.
What? So you guys had some cool stuff. What's the biggest invention you remember?
TV.
Yeah.
Green and off-white. That was the color of the picture. You couldn't
Yeah.
hardly see the pictures.
Really?
They were about this big.
Little tiny screens, and they were always kept up so we couldn't touch them. Later on, I think it was about in the 8th grade when my Tana's grandmother got a color TV and we went and watched color TV for the first time. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
And a private phone line. That was a big deal.
You didn't have private phone lines?
No, we had a party line. So you'd pick up the phone and you could hear your neighbors talking to somebody that they had called. So you had to wait till their call was finished before you could make your call.
So then they had to listen in.
Yeah, you had a lot of nosy neighbors that would listen in.
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah, that was fun.
What's different about growing up today from when you were growing up?
Kids are spoiled rotten. They don't know how to work. They don't want to go out and earn their own money. They don't want to be responsible or respectful. That's the difference.
Except us, right?
I was going to say, our grandchildren are the
Except for
exception to that
grandchildren.
rule.
Yeah. You are. Really, my grandkids are. I'm proud to death of my grandkids. So,
I think the difference, also social media, the internet, and instant access to anything.
Yeah.
You've got that's a big difference from how we grew up. We had to spend hours in a library going through encyclopedias and magazines and newspapers to get information. So
That's crazy. It's weird to think about. Did you guys have a favorite spot to hang out when you guys were teenagers? Did you have like a spot? I think you guys have told me like you used to have the cruise or something like that. Didn't you guys used to do something like that, or was that my mom?
no, we did a
probably your
cruise
mom too, but yeah, we did.
up in Otter Falls.
It was an IF.
Hmm.
Did you guys both do that as teenagers? Was there anything else that you guys would do on the weekends besides getting crazy?
Well, I might wake up in West Yellowstone or Jackson or Island Park. Or I'd wake up and be by myself in a cabin and didn't know how I'd get there. Just that kind of stuff.
So I see where Oz gets it. I said I see where Oz gets it. Just kidding. What about you, Grandma? Anywhere else that you would do like on the weekends?
Well, in Shelley, I didn't, until I moved to Shelley, there was no hangout anywhere. But when we got to Shelley, Olson's, you know, you'd hang out at Olson's Drive-In, which is now Mix.
That's where we met.
That's where you guys met? Oh, little cuties. That's cool. Okay. What were some phrases that were popular when you were a teenager?
Some what?
Phrases. Did you guys say like groovy?
Well, yeah, I was the 60s, hello.
I never did. I didn't. I didn't talk like that. I didn't dress like a lot of the other kids. I didn't wear bell bottoms. I didn't wear. I had one pair of peg pants, and I wore them one day and threw them away. I just kind of marched to my own tune.
Cool was a big word.
Cool was?
Cool, neat, kooky.
Was
Cool,
Yeah, kooky.
maybe.
kooky.
Peace was the biggie in the 60s.
What was?
Peace.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Or, you know, later. You know,
Yeah.
when you're leaving later.
Yeah. How old were you when you learned to drive, and who taught you?
I was probably 11 or 12.
11 or 12?
I don't believe that.
The old man taught me. I'd take the old pickup and go down to the grocery store if Mom needed stuff. And just didn't get a driver's license till I was 14, but some of us were driving around way before then.
That's crazy.
Cops were a little more lenient with that kind of stuff in those days.
Really?
And Shelley being a rural community, farm kids started driving tractors and farm trucks, you know, as soon as they could walk.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Grandma? How old were you?
I was 15. Was my driver's ed teacher. I don't remember his name.
Huh. Let's see here. What was your graduation from high school like? Was it like a big deal? Like, did it take 3 hours like it does for ours?
It's boring.
Yeah. Wasn't. I think my graduating class was the second to have their graduation in the new high school auditorium. So that was kind of a big deal for us. We were one of the first classes to graduate from the actual Shelley High School building rather than the Stake Center.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, and that was the year after my dad died, so my aunt and uncle from California were here for my graduation. That was kind of neat to have them
Oh,
here.
cool. What about you, Grandpa? Do you remember anything from your graduation?
Just sitting in the steakhouse being bored to death.
Well, you're talking about the watch that your mom and dad gave you and what that cost.
Yeah, after I graduated from high school, Mom and Dad wanted to meet with me. They had a gift for me. It was a Benrus watch, but anyway, before I could get them to shut up and leave me alone, all my friends had left town. So I just cruised around for a couple hours by myself and went home and went to bed.
Before they'd shut up. What dreams and goals did you have for your life when you graduated high school?
I dreamed that I'd be drafted, and the goal is I was. I didn't have any dreams or goals.
No dreams or goals?
I got drafted out of only less than a year out of high school, so.
That's scary. What about you, Grandma?
I guess my dreams and goals was to become better disciplined and accountable.
Good one. I like it.
Because I didn't have any choice.
What about you, Grandma?
Just to find a job. I knew I'd have to work because Mom was trying to work. So helping her out and just finding a job.
Yep, that's what I did too.
Okay, good. Okay, now, what's the most memorable phone call you've ever had?
It's when she was pregnant with Lisa and took her to the hospital, and she was in labor up there for 2 or 3 hours. I don't know, a long time. And finally they decided she wasn't gonna have it, so they told me to go home, and I went home and just got in bed and just pulled the sheets up, and the phone rang and said, she's getting ready to have this baby, you better get up there. Put my clothes back on and hauled butt back to the hospital.
Dang. And Grandma, you said you didn't have the most
I had
memorable?
nothing. I pondered a lot of these questions, like a lot, and I was coming up with nothing.
That's okay. Let's see. Let's see. Do you know the meaning of your family name?
Yes, I already said that.
Yeah, he told you what his.
You did say it. Can you say it one more time?
Patrick means noble, Lloyd means gray, Kearney means soldier. At least this is what I've been told for a long time.
Okay. Grandma, what about you?
Just a little bit of research I've done. Pincock was locational. It was like an area in England or Scotland. I'm not real sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a Pincock Bridge, so I think it's just an area. Gardener was occupational. It was what my ancestors did. They were gardeners.
Oh, interesting. Did you have any nicknames as a child?
My dad called me Slim.
Called you Slim? Grandpa, did you have a nickname? No nicknames?
He calls me Cleo. I don't know why.
That's true, you do call her Cleo. Where'd you get Cleo from?
Just to irritate her.
I've always actually wondered that. I'm like, where did
Pulled
Cleo
it-
come from?
I just pulled it out of the air.
Well, he actually shortens it because when it's actually Cleoris May June. And he shortened it to Cleo. And I don't know where the hell that ever came from. Maybe I don't want to know.
Cleo.
Cleoris May June.
Do you feel like you're any of your grandparents? Like, do you feel like you have traits of your grandparents that you really like? Do you feel like you are common to them? Not really. You're your own person?
You gotta remember that I was really young when 2 of them died. And
Yeah.
I never wanted to be a farmer. That's what I did to earn money in the summertime a lot, was working the agricultural deal. I was an aluminum technician,
Really?
moving pipe.
Hey, my dad used to move pipe. What about you, Grandma? Do you feel like you're like any of your grandparents?
Well, they all like music. I
Yeah.
like music. I wish I had their singing capability. They all have good voices. Grandma instilled a sense of tidiness in all of us that we, in our perfect world, we would follow suit, but that kind of has gone by the wayside. Just love of family. They all, family was really important to them, and that's important to me.
Yeah. How are your children like you?
Mean, ignorant.
Ignorant.
Oh, I would say they're pretty sure of themselves. They have quite a bit of confidence in themselves. That was a hard deal for me to pull over, but when I got older, I didn't have any problem with it. I've always told them be prompt, go on time going to work. If you told somebody you would do something, you'd be there to do it.
Mhm.
No excuses, I didn't want to hear them. Because I'd make them go
Yeah.
if I knew about it. If they'd promised somebody they'd do something, they did it.
That's good. What do you think, Grandma?
Basically the same thing. I think respect. They respect people. I think they're respectful for the most part, especially to older people.
Yeah.
Dependable, like you said. If you say you're going to do something, follow through on it. And they've got to. I feel like I have a strong work ethic as far as when I had a job, I took it seriously, and I think both of my girls do. They take their work seriously.
Good. Yeah. I agree. Do you have any special sayings or expressions?
It was pointed out to me over the weekend that I say "oh crap" a lot. But James has picked it up, and he says "oh crap" all the time. So, and Shelby blames me. Now I notice when I say it. So I wasn't aware that I said it that often, but I guess I do.
What about your Grandpa? Do you have a special saying or expression?
None that I can use on TV.
It's probably best.
I read stuff on old antique cars and trucks because I'm working on them.
Yeah.
That's it.
What about you, Grandma? What's your favorite book?
Angela's Ashes.
I think my mom would agree with you on that. What about movie? What's your favorite movie?
That would be so hard. Anything with Robert Duvall. So for me, I'd have to say Lonesome Dove.
That's good.
Yep.
Yep. Same. Let's see here. We just talked about how life events, one of the big ones from our past question, you had said 9/11.
Yes.
Adding that was a big
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The Berlin Wall coming down, that was a big event.
Yeah. What's the highest honor or award you've ever received?
What did I say? We talked about
You
this.
didn't. Mine would be, the honor would be when Mr. Personality asked me to marry him.
Mr. Personality. Hey, which can actually.
Did we talk about that? Is there an award that you got?
Mr. Personality.
Besides Mr. Personality.
Okay. That works.
Grandpa was Mr. Personality.
I can't think of anything, so
Okay. What kind of things bring you the most pleasure nowadays?
be in the pain.
That brings you the most pleasure?
You gotta be the happiest guy on the planet. Just kidding.
I don't know, I kinda like this old pickup that I bought. I kinda like working on it when it's not so hot. I enjoy working on it more than I did that car
Yeah.
for some reason, 'cause that's what I learned to drive in, was a 49 pickup. See, pickup's 70 years old.
That's cool. What about you, Grandma?
Well, obviously my river walks. I love those. Music. Time spent with my kids and my grandkids. James. Naps. naps are really right up there. Being able to just lay down and take a nap anytime I want to. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
That's a pleasure.
Going out to Salmon and Chalice, I enjoy going out to those two places.
Good. Hey, and I'm just thinking or remembering when we asked the question, do you have any special sayings or expressions? I just always remember Grandpa saying, I'm just checking my eyelids for holes.
No matter where you are, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter where you go, there you are. Yeah.
What's one thing you've always wanted but still don't have?
A flat stomach. That's the truth.
I had one once.
I
You
have.
do, and I know. I've seen pictures.
I don't know. I want to travel. I would like to go to Australia. I would like to go to a few different places for a croak.
Yeah. I like it. What do you think has stayed the same about you throughout your life?
What do I think? What?
What do you think has stayed the same about you throughout your life?
Being a nuisance.
What
Staying
number
the
is
same.
that?
I guess I've always
76.
respected people, I guess. You know, I rant and rave and talk and all that kind of stuff, but I'll always speak to people,
Yeah.
or, you know, strangers, whatever.
I'd have to say that too. Just learned early to be respectful of people and kind. I think I've kind of maintained those qualities.
I think so too. I think you both have. Okay. Alrighty.
I'm not,
Grandpa, we've kind of talked about you serving in the military. What did you do and what was your experience with it?
it grew me up at a time when I needed discipline in my life, and I needed accountability, and getting along with other people, all ethnicities pretty much.
What were you doing and what did you do in the military?
In Germany, I was in a fixed wings direct support unit in the motor pool. Vietnam, I was in combat engineer unit as a motor sergeant and platoon sergeant. Colorado Springs, I was his tank commander on an M88 tank.
That's cool. What was your first job and what did you like and not like about it?
My first job,
Yeah.
I was probably 6 years old. And I was opening and closing gates in the stockyard. And I liked being around the cattle, but I didn't like being mashed between the gate and the posts.
That's funny. What about you, Grandma? What was your first job? What did you like about it and what you didn't like?
My first job would have been working on a spud digger for my uncle. What I liked about it was I was working with my best friend, and we always had fun no matter what we were doing. What I didn't like about it was dirty, hard work. He was a taskmaster, but my mom always said if I could work for him, I could work for anybody, and that's true.
Dang. That's good. You guys kind of, how did you guys meet? What did you guys like about each other when you first met?
Was I sitting in a coffee shop or was you?
Well,
Anyway, she was
your
sitting,
first, what you remember is not what I remember is when we first met. What I remember as our first meeting was Connie Wilson and I were coming home from Idaho Falls. We worked in Idaho Falls and we were coming home from work. And it had to have been a Friday night because he and Pineapple were parked. Pineapple was his friend from Hawaii.
What a great name.
They were home from Colorado Springs on leave and they were parked down at the park. So Connie is friends with everybody. She pulls in there. She introduces us. And I said basically just hi, you know, real conversation person. But I'm painfully shy. I don't like being, you know, I don't like talking to people I don't know. And he told me later that he thought I was a stuck-up little bitch.
said what?
You thought I was a snooty, stuck-up little bitch. Because I didn't, but, you know, with him and Connie, it'd be hard to get a word in edgewise, because they're both real chatterboxes. But that's my recollection of the first time we actually met.
Well, what was the first thing you thought about him?
Well, I knew he was Gail's older brother, because I went to school with Gail, so I knew he was Gail's older brother. That was a plus, you know, because I like Gail. Gail was a nice guy. I thought he was cute. He had a really nice car.
Well, would you look at
I had a nice what?
A car, your Dodge.
Had a really nice
Yeah,
car.
a really nice car. That was a big
It
deal
was this,
Yeah.
back in those days. That
Yeah.
was a big deal.
I had a 67 Dodge RT. Nice car.
Fast car.
Super, super fast.
I wish I could find one today. I'd have a clearance sale on everything else I got.
What's your recollection of meeting Grandma for the first time?
Want to go have a beer? Yes.
Sure.
What'd you think about her? What was the first thing that you thought about Grandma?
Well, I guess after you got over the snooty bitch part. This time we were sitting in Olson's at the bar at
The snack.
The
yeah,
counter.
The counter.
and was just talking. I think we were looking to run each other down anyway as I look back.
Probably.
And then I saw that she had a nice personality. Good looking.
Nice.
Want to go have a beer?
I like it. How and when did you get engaged?
How?
Yeah.
I said, would you marry me?
Did you do anything special or romantic?
No, she had to go with the girls.
Oh.
So,
Where were we? Do
She-
you remember where we were?
right next to Bowman's.
Yeah. We were in Nick's parking lot.
Oh.
Olson's parking lot.
Yeah.
Up by the ball of the service station.
And she said, yes, and I gave her a ring. She said, I gotta go, the girls are waiting. She took off.
Have you ever seen our rings?
No, I don't think I
I
have.
brought them.
You did?
I brought them. Do you mind?
No.
I'll show you.
When did you get married and how old were you? Where did you get married?
In the reception center in Idaho Falls.
That's where you got married?
Yep.
What day?
September 11th,
What
It's
year?
easy to remember our anniversary now.
71.
1971. And how old were you guys?
I was 22.
I was 20.
And what was your wedding like?
I just remember how pretty she was when she come walking down from the top stairs.
So
Yeah,
pretty.
fall colors because it was September. Fall's my favorite season anyway, and it it was so, we had all colors. It was, back then, you didn't go overboard with refreshments and stuff like that. It was cake, nuts, mints, and a punch. You know, that was it.
I think that's how it should be.
But it was nice.
Good. What was the first big purchase you guys made together?
Our house.
Our house,
Is it the one you still live in?
yes.
Yes. What makes your spouse special or unique?
Well, you sneak up on her.
What?
You sneak up on her.
Unique up on her.
I don't know, everybody's got their own personality. Neither one of ours has really changed. Mine has, drastically, but hers hasn't. Well, it has too, because of me.
But what's special about Grandma?
I'm trying to find the question.
It is 43.
You are way back. I thought we were in the 70s. Oh, okay.
Everything. Well, I don't know. She stayed with me when she didn't want to, so I don't know.
His personality is what is the draw for everybody. Was his personality. I think that's the biggest thing that draws people to him. He has a great sense of humor. He's smart, and he was everybody's go-to guy when it comes to the car. Somebody's car is broken down, and it will call Pat. Just tell him what it's doing. He can tell you how to fix it, and he could.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's an amazing mechanic. He could tear things down and put them back together with his eyes closed. He talks to people really easy, and because of that, he made a really good salesman. And he knew his product. I mean, upside down and backwards. He could service it after the sale. And because of that, he had a loyal customer base that were more. A lot of the guys that he sold to were more friends than they were customers.
Yeah.
And so I think that was he's an amazing fly fisherman.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything so graceful in your life.
I have to see it.
I've got it on video somewhere. If I can find my videos and get them down here to get them on DVD, I've got him fly fishing on video, and he is just poetry in motion. I'll tell you what.
It's lost. I took a pole out that I bought on an internet deal, and was trying to fish with it, and it just wasn't there.
Well, I gotta see it one of these times. See you fly fish.
I gotta try. I probably could with one of my older poles that I like.
Yeah. Well, Grandpa, hearing Grandma's answer about you, do you have anything to add to yours? About Grandma? Something that makes her special?
She's a good boat rower.
Boat rower.
Have that on video too.
And she's a good fly fisherman. And she's a good fly caster. And she's a hell of a grandmother.
I agree on that.
Big time. So,
And mother. Grandmother and mother.
okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay, good. How many children do you have? When were those hoodlums born? And how did you decide to name each of them?
I'm not really sure. I've got two.
What's their names?
Lisa Dawn and Jan O.
Jano. Big Jano.
And how did you guys come up with Lisa and Jan?
Mom actually named Lisa.
Oh, really?
Lisa was the favorite character on one of her favorite soaps, and so she liked the name. And Dawn is my mother's middle name, so that's where Lisa Dawn came from. Jan was supposed to be a boy.
Oh.
We always just went on the assumption that she was going to be a boy, and we had boys' names picked out, but we didn't have a girl's name picked out. And when she was a girl, we were stumped. We didn't know what we were going to do. But one of the names, we had bounced back Sean Patrick for a boy because that's what his parents were going to name him, spelling it different. He still wasn't real sure on Sean. So I says, well, okay, John is John Patrick, okay. So we had basically decided boy would be John Patrick. Well, the closest thing to John that we could come up with was Jan. And Laurie had a friend whose name was Jan, and she was a cute girl. She was a sweet girl. I liked her.
Yeah.
And so we decided on Jan. If we'd had a little bit more time and been more with it, her middle name would have been Marie, and I think she still to this day resents the fact that she doesn't have a middle name. But she can change it if she wants. But, Jan, Kearney, Andresen, that rolls. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And Jano Banano,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What's your favorite story about each kid? Let's go with Lisa first. Do you have a favorite story about Lisa? Or a favorite memory of Lisa?
The one, I told you that doesn't reflect well on my mothering skills because I was struggling trying to come up with something. My memory is scary. The one thing with Lisa was when she was in kindergarten. It was so sad. I was painting the bathroom. Jan was asleep. She was still a baby. She was, 3, but she was taking her nap. Lisa was in kindergarten. And I needed to go pick her up, but I was painting the bathroom and I lost track of time. And when I realized how late I was, I freaked. And I got over there and it was so windy, and that poor little thing was wrapped around the stop sign trying to keep from being blown away in front of the kindergarten. She wouldn't go back in the building. I've never felt so guilty about anything in my life. I haven't painted my bathroom since.
Oh.
That's the truth. I felt awful. Oh, that broke my heart.
She's afraid I'll get lost. The favorite memory?
Yeah.
Well, she was on a broad spectrum. She was kind of bullheaded like I was. She wasn't a follower. She was a leader. If kids went to parties, why, she would always be there and be their driver, but she never drank. She just did her own thing. I liked that. I preached that to them girls.
Yeah. What about my mom? What about Jan?
Whatever
What's your favorite memory of Jan?
There again.
When
Go ahead.
When she told me one day, Dad, you don't have to be so ignorant.
Well, and another thing that she would do with him is she'd want to go do something and he'd make her beg like a dog.
Oh, yeah.
She's shown you how she did that.
Yeah. She sometimes made me do it.
The one that that's always a funny one. The one thing that we were talking about, things that she'd say, would be, we were on the way to the grocery store one day and I asked her, Jan, what are we going to have for supper tonight? Mommy doesn't have any ideas. And she says, well, why don't we have something what starts with the B? And I says, okay, what starts with the B? And she goes, biscotti. And so we still call it biscotti.
That's where biscotti comes
That's where
from.
biscotti came from, but because it starts with the B.
So that kind of goes into one of these questions. So what was something funny or embarrassing that they would say as a kid?
Yeah, that would
Biscotti?
be the same.
What
With
ab-
Lisa, the one thing, when I brought your mom home from the hospital, Lisa, for being only 2 years old, she could talk.
Yeah.
And I brought Jan in the house and laid her on the couch and I was changing her diaper. And of course Lisa wanted to see everything that was going on with this new baby, and she gets right up there and she goes, "Ew, she pooped, a little queep."
That's pretty good. So, sorry, I didn't mean to jump to that next question, but the favorite story about Jan is the Biscotti one?
Well, that and we had to go to Reno with some people from work, and we were gone for the weekend, and Mom and Dick kept the girls. Jen had a favorite blanket, and I didn't pack it. And the middle of the night, she would not settle down, she would not go to sleep. Mom had tried everything to try to get her to settle down. And finally she said, "Jenna, what does Grandma have to do to help you go to sleep?" "I'd probably just go to sleep if I just had my banky."
Oh.
Dick got up in the middle of the night and drove into Shelley and got into our house and got her blankie and went home and gave it to her, and she fell right to sleep.
Aww.
She had her blankie. There was probably this much of it left by the time she gave it up.
That's pretty good. What's the most memorable, like, family vacation or camping trip that you guys ever took?
It wasn't when.
You guys went camping all the time, didn't you? My mom calls those
Yeah, but
wafer cookies camping cookies.
I would leave her, Sherry and the girls at the trailer and I'd go fishing all day
Yeah.
That's my memorable one.
without a vehicle.
He'd unhook the trailer and he'd load up the pickup and leave and go camping, or go fishing. And the one memorable one that I have was not pleasant because we came out of the trailer to do something outside, maybe go out over to the bathrooms or something, and when we came back, the door was locked.
Oh no.
And we
Was
couldn't
what?
get in. The door was locked to the camper and we couldn't get in. He had the keys on the key ring to the truck. We couldn't get in all day. We sat out there.
Oh man.
Yeah,
So
that-
not a good memorable
Not
one.
a good memory. But
One of my regrets.
with the kids, when they were little and they liked going, they'd pick every wildflower within a 10-mile radius, and I'd have them in Dixie cups on my table. They color pictures, they play Yahtzee, and when they were small, they enjoyed going camping. But they get to a point, when camping wasn't fun anymore, and then we just quit going.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
Yeah.
Them teenagers. What do you remember about holiday celebrations? Is there one particular holiday or time that stands out most to you with these guys?
With the kids,
Yeah.
what number is that?
48.
Just off the top of my head. Oh, one year on Thanksgiving, Lisa was just little, and she was crawling down the hall at Grandma and Grandpa Kearney's and had her hand between the door and the door frame. And Carrie came out and went to close the bedroom door and pinched her hand. It flattened those little fat fingers. And I freaked out. And so in the middle of Thanksgiving, I made him take me up to the emergency room to get it checked. They don't have cartilage, all it is cartilage at that age. She didn't break anything, but I had to have it looked at. It scared me to death. And then a Christmas party out to Mom's with Dick playing bum darts. It's one of my favorite memories. I loved it. That was so cute.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite memories.
What about you, Grandpa? What do you remember about holiday celebrations?
About the same as what she's just said.
Yeah. How did you feel about raising the kids? What was the best part? about raising these two hoodlums?
when they left.
Mom would disagree with you today.
Yeah, she would definitely disagree. Well, I told you, when Lisa, because your mom got married first, when Lisa and Jason got married, and she was out. Of course, she was out before they got married. She had her own apartment, but anyway, the first time we were there in the house by ourselves and the kids were gone, he ran around naked just because he could.
That was the best part. What was the hardest part about raising kids?
Not knowing what you're doing. If they'd come with an instruction manual, it'd be so nice, but you're just winging it. You don't know what you're doing, you're scared, and you're afraid you're making all these god-awful mistakes and they're going to be screwed up for life. And you just thank God that they turned out okay.
Yeah.
And they did turn out. They turned out great.
I think they're pretty fantastic.
Yep, they are, both of them.
What makes you proud of your kids?
They both grew up to be good adults. They both have good husbands. And they have some really good grandkids. And we have one great grandkid. Good. They're family oriented.
Good. I like it. What about you, Grandma? What are you proud
Well,
of?
and we alluded to it earlier, their work ethic, their dependability,
Respectful.
their respectful nature, and the fact that their family is their number one priority.
Huh.
I think that's awesome.
So this question is, it says, how is my father/mother like Lisa and like Jan? So what are some traits that you see of Grandpa that are in Lisa and some in my mom? And then what are some traits that you see of Grandma in Lisa and in Jan?
Now see, I took that to mean, how are you like your mom?
Well, yeah, we could do that too. We could do that too.
Because that's how I read that question.
And that's kind of how I took it too until just now. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, we can just roll with that.
Okay. I wrote, you see if you agree with this or add to it. You're like your mom in that when you love with your whole heart. Your family is very important to you. You work hard like her, and you have since you were really young. I remember at one point in Twin Falls, you were holding down 3 jobs and going to school.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know how you did it. You have an eye for decorating, and you make a living space a home. Let's see. I'm such a boo.
Like you're making me cry over here.
Okay.
That's another thing. Like I'm like my mom. I'm very emotional.
You're very emotional. Your ducks are attracted to the memory. You're both conscious of your health. You take care of yourself. You exercise. You are aware of what you're putting in your mouth. You know, you're aware of how important your health is. You both are good money managers. I see that in you, and I've always seen that in your mom. In fact, she's tight to a point, to a fault. Let's see.
True.
You care about other people's feelings, but you don't take crap from anybody.
No.
And I love that. I think that's great. And you alluded to it, something he said or you said that kind of sounded more like Lisa. And your mom has always said that you should have been Jody or Lisa's daughter because you were more like them. I don't know what she means by that.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of your mom
Yeah.
in you.
True.
Do you have?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I like it. What do you remember about me when I was born? And what about when I was younger than I am now?
Your big brown eyes.
But they weren't brown.
What were they? Yes, they were.
Hazel.
There, I have
Hazel.
freckled hazel eyes.
Well,
Close enough.
your skin complexion and your eyes.
Yep. That's the one thing I said. The first thing was the color, your skin tone. Absolutely flawless. Just beautiful skin color. For a newborn to have that, oh, it was just stunning. You had just the right amount of dark hair.
Yeah.
Made my heart soar like a hawk.
That and when your dad bringing you down the hall with that little pink cap on to bring you out to meet the rest of the family.
Yeah.
That was really sweet. Your dimples.
Yeah.
Can't miss those
Yeah.
craters, can
Yeah.
ya? What about like the boys? What do you remember about them when they were born? Oz and Danny.
Oh, he was out salmon fishing when I got the call at the credit union from your dad stating that your mom was in labor with Austin. And I was opening an account and I hustled to get that account finished. Then I ran and found my boss and I says, I'm having a baby, I'm gone, and I won't be back. And so, and the guy that I was helping open the account, he was a firefighter, and he says, and an EMT, and he says, well, we can maybe throw you in the back of an ambulance and get you to Twin Falls a whole lot faster. So we got down there, I got down there, but he had already come. He'd just been born just not maybe 10, 15 minutes before I got there.
Dang it.
But I walked in, and here's your parents with this, both of them with this deer in the headlight look. And I looked at him going, is everything okay? Is he, I didn't know what it was at that point. I says, is everything okay? Is the baby okay? Because they just had this look on their face. And Jan looked over and she goes, it's a boy. They were blown away that they got a boy. And so that night, when I called out to the Ram's Head and I got a hold of somebody, Karen probably, and I says, have Pat call me when he comes in. He needs to call me tonight.
Yeah.
And so he called, and I says, you have a grandson, and he says, you're shitting me. And I said, you have a grandson. And that is awesome. Is everybody okay? You know. But I just remember he was out to salmon when Oz was born.
That's
that was
funny.
kinda cool.
What about Dano?
Who?
Danny.
He just fell out.
Yeah, if only. Your
Yeah.
mom
Your
had
mother
such
didn't.
a hard time with him
Your mother didn't have any anesthesia, I don't think,
when you were born.
when you were born.
You
or
came
Oz
really
or
quick.
or
But
Danny either. He just,
No, Danny was
she
like a
struggled for a
turtle.
long time with Danny. Because he was bigger.
Yeah,
was
he
the
was a
biggest
fat baby.
cause your mom was laying in bed and she says, she was just kinda grinning, that stings a little bit.
Oh, that was
You know, and didn't have anything, just with her
Yeah.
baby.
I remember with Danny, I've got a picture of her. With each child, you kind of have after the baby labor pains,
Yeah.
and she really had them bad with him, and she was nursing him, and every time he'd nurse, those pains would kick in, and she
Yeah.
was tickled to get this boy because she'd battled for this little boy.
Yeah.
She'd fought to get him here.
Yeah.
And that look on her face, just you could see she was hurting, but just in heaven that she finally had him here. So, yeah.
What about Shelbert and Abby? What do you remember about Shelby being newborn?
I think we had to go get Jason out of the cafeteria when she finally came. They didn't. I don't remember being at I was at the hospital. They called me and I left work. But I think we had to go get Jason out of the hospital. And the one thing I remember about Abby, or out of the cafeteria to come in to, because we were having a baby. I remember that one of Lisa's best friends was her delivery nurse. She was kind of embarrassed by that.
Oh.
But you know, after a certain point, you're going, what the hell ever? Just let's get that baby here.
Yeah, just get that baby up out of here.
Yeah. Abby was, I think, a little bit easier delivery
Yeah.
for her. She was in the new part of the hospital. They were big babies. Abby was the biggest granddaughter, or biggest grandbaby we had. She was, I think, 9'1" or 9'2". She was a big baby. And I remember going to see her in the nursery window and she'd pooped. The first thing she did when they put her in that little bed, they didn't have a diaper on her and she just pooped. It was great.
That's actually pretty hilarious. That's really good, actually. What's the best thing about being a parent and grandparent?
I have to say my girls gave me my identity. And I think most women of my generation felt that way. They took their self-worth from their children and their home. Guys, it was being the provider, the hunter-gatherer type thing. But I think for women, so for me, just that they gave me my identity and my self-worth.
Yeah.
My grandkids are just amazing. They're absolute perfection.
Yeah.
They are. They're the
We
best.
covered that a minute ago, but that's
Yeah.
true. They're just
The nice thing
Great.
about grandkids too is that you can spoil them,
and
I
they get to
love
go
'em.
home.
but the stress and the worry is one generation removed.
Yeah.
It's you know, that's kind of on your folks now to have that major worry. And all we get to do is just sit back and love and enjoy you.
Yeah.
It's great.
I like it. Grandpa, what do you think the best thing about being a parent is?
Is what she said.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, I love my grandkids.
I think we're pretty badass.
Yeah.
So, just kidding. Do you have any hobbies or special interests nowadays?
Is that 77?
Yes.
Well, I'm working on a pickup. When my PTSD hit me, it took away everything that I like to do. I didn't have any. I lost interest in everything that I did. My oil painting and fishing and all that kind of stuff. So I just been working around, and mainly these car and pickup are kind of replacing all of that stuff, but I want some of that stuff back, so I'm gonna try to get, before I get too old, get back into some of my, I'm gonna do more steelhead fishing this year, for serious, because I haven't caught a fish in 3 years now, 'cause I'm too busy running around gabbing with everybody. So,
Mr. Personality.
and just some of the stuff that I like to do.
Yeah.
Get back into it.
What about you, Grandma? What's your hobbies?
Grandkids.
Napping. I like napping. I've always liked music. I like movies. If I sit down to read a book anymore, though, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
It has to be a really good book. But I do like movies. But I like watching them at home because, like you've seen, if I get emotional, and I hate the way I look when I cry, I want to be able to just go ahead and let it cut loose in my own house. I don't want to be at a theater and have to walk out. I love watching the jazz play. That's my team. I like watching the jazz.
Go jazz.
And my river walks with my buddy, but Lisa's been my buddy this last little while. Since Joyce left, she comes over and walks with me when she can.
Yeah.
watching the kid, you know, the kids, anything you guys were involved in, that was always fun to do.
Yeah.
James,
Jamesy.
yeah.
What are most important to you now? What things are most important to you now? 82. What's most important to you now, Grandpa?
My family.
We number one, though.
Always
Well, is that the same for you, Grandma?
top priority.
I like it. How have your... Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, just, and it's kind of late in the day, but trying to maintain health, trying to keep your mind at least partway sharp. His reading, he's constantly up to speed on what's going on in the world, because like I said, he reads the newspaper from front to back.
Yeah.
So I think trying to keep yourself involved in the world, even though you sometimes don't want to know what's going on, but just, and to maintain reasonably good health so you can take care of yourself as we get older.
Yeah. That's good. How have your dreams and goals changed through your life?
What number is that?
83.
Well, I never had any to start with, as I stated early on,
Yeah.
but I guess now it's just watching my grandkids transition from kind of one phase to another, you know.
Yeah.
Like Danny, he's gonna start a new phase for the next few years, and then Ozzy will be starting his career after this year. And how well you've done in your schooling and your career and your photography and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff is kind of cool.
What about Shelby and Abby and their phases of life?
Same thing, you know, we just have a bunch of smart, level-headed grandkids. You know, I mean, what can I say?
Shelby's an amazing mom. It's something to watch her with that little boy. She's patient, but she's firm.
Yeah.
She's fun with him. They have fun together when they're doing stuff. She's just playful with me. Abby's the same way with him. I think Abby is, after mom and dad, Abby's his favorite person in the world. She's awesome with that little guy.
Yeah.
I worry about her. I don't know that she's actually got her focus. I think she says nursing, but then I'm not real sure that that's really what she wants to do. I'm not sure she knows what she wants to do
Yeah.
yet. That's a concern, and because you hate to see the time spent on something that she's not going to enjoy doing
Yeah.
the rest of her life. So I want her to be sure.
Yeah. And that's a phase of life.
and
Like,
that's
what
a
the hell am I
that-
going to do with the rest of
yeah.
my life?
And what a god-awful decision to have to make at your age,
Yeah.
because the rest of your life is a hell of a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, but as far as, I think goals and things that we've done, we've raised our kids and we've got our home paid for, and we took care of our aging parents, and we saved so our retirement isn't over the moon, but we feel like we're in a place that we're comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think we achieved the goals that we set out to accomplish.
Yeah, we do
I think
pretty
we
much whatever we want. In fact, our money manager says, why don't you guys not spending money instead of still saving it? You
That's
know.
good, though.
The thing is, I saw how fast money can go if you have to go into assisted living or memory care. He's always said that'll never happen. He'll take care of things on his own if he gets to that point. But I saw how fast the money goes. So having that nest egg is
Yeah.
It's kind of important.
Yeah. I get that. If you could go back to any age, which age would it be?
Gosh, I get that question.
21 to 22.
Why?
They can not do this.
Oh.
You wouldn't marry me, would you? You just let me raise that baby on my own.
Whatever. Whatever. It was because you met Grandma. It was best times of your lives, right?
Yes.
Grandma, what about you? If you could go back to any age.
I said mid-30s, and I don't know why, really. I think that's because the kids were mostly raised.
Uh-huh.
That's when you got brave and started back talking to me. Had a job.
Well, and I was working. I felt like I was actually contributing other than being a mom, which is important. I'm not taking anything away from the importance of that. But I felt like I was actually contributing, and we could do things if we wanted to because we weren't so strapped financially. Because there was times when
Yeah.
the money was tight and you had to really watch what you were doing.
Yeah.
And it was nice to be able to. So I'd say that was a good point. We were both healthy, strong.
Yeah.
We didn't have health problems at all at that point. So I would say mid-30s.
Yeah. I like that. If you live another 20 to 30 years, what will you do? Do you want to live 20 to 30 years?
No.
I do. I want you guys to live as long as you can.
Why? What's the point when we're just sitting over there slobbering?
Grandpa.
You know?
Oh.
I watch Sherry changing James's diapers, and I go, God, I wonder when somebody's gonna start changing mine. You know, I don't want to be that old.
Yeah.
I think as long as we can stay in our home and take care of ourselves, then
Yeah.
I'll want to. Watching my mom deteriorate like she did, I don't want to go there. And Joyce and I have made commitments to each other that we'll hit each other over the head with baseball bats if we see that happening.
Yeah.
I can see it. I mean, there are things I see already with me that I can kind of see things going down that road, and I don't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
So where it's still fresh and raw.
Yeah, my remembery's gone.
Well, we both obviously.
See?
Some of these questions were just going, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think, well, I guess it kind of is the same question, but, so I'm going to skip that one. What were your guys' parents like when they got older? Right. Do you see any similarities at all, or?
No,
My dad never did get older.
That's
Died
true.
when he was 38.
there's no similarity at all between us and my mom and dad at this age.
Yeah. How were they when they got older?
Grandma was always a sweetheart.
Dad was a pain in the ass, plain and simple. I know I shouldn't talk that way, but that's the way it was. And each one of them did their own thing. Of course, that's how we live. But it wasn't Happyville down at their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your mom, Grandma?
She did pretty good up until the time that Bob passed away, and then she just kind of shut down. She just dropped into that recliner and said, "I'm just done. I've taken care of the last person I want to take care of, including herself."
Yeah.
And she just plopped in that recliner and quit. And really never came back.
Yeah.
And then that happened around the time Bob passed away. So she'd have good days and bad days, but mostly bad days, and it just steadily deteriorated. Up until that point, I think her and Dick enjoyed their life together. They had a wonderful few years that they were together. They enjoyed each other's company. They had a lot of fun. They traveled. They had a lot in common.
Yeah.
And truly, really loved each other, I think.
Yeah.
Bob was just so we weren't lonely anymore for both of them. I think they just were looking for companionship. But,
Yeah.
so anyway.
Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go down to life lessons and legacies. Okay. What advice did your grandparents or parents give you that you remember best?
We didn't get a lot of life information from them, I don't believe, other than I took one insurance policy out that my mom says, don't you ever cash this policy, and you don't know what it means now, don't ever do it. Well, we did. And I guess being financially responsible was what my mother was worried about the most.
That was the advice? Just be smart with your money?
We'll save.
Yeah.
You know, being good savers. Always, you know, that rainy day that you never think's going to come, and it always does. To always have enough money to, I guess, to
Buy
have
an umbrella.
that but we were kind of always taught to have enough, try to have enough in your savings account to pay your mortgage for 6 months.
Yeah.
If you needed to. It took a long time. I mean, and there was more times than not that we didn't have that kind of money in our savings account, and our mortgage was nothing compared to what mortgages are. It was $125. And you think we could save $800? We couldn't.
Yeah.
So it was just, yeah. But yeah, just trying to make yourself
A lot of
financially
it was we
secure.
couldn't save it because there was
Not much coming in.
shit we'd go buy.
I don't think we wasted money. Do you think we wasted money?
I didn't say we wasted it, I said there was stuff we'd go buy that we wanted once in a while.
Oh, okay. I still don't have my flat stomach.
We didn't
I
sit
still don't
home-
have my flat stomach.
We didn't sit home looking at mice like pork chops.
Okay.
If you were writing the story of your life, how would you divide it into chapters?
Well, at first I was very young. I couldn't remember to write anything. And I was a little, I don't know, I would say my first chapter would be from the time I was born probably till I was 12. Because I was pretty innocent about a lot of stuff. The second part would be from when I was 13 to when I was 30, because I was still drinking too much. And I kind of should, and then I would go from 30 to 60, my good working years. Well, actually from 22, because I got a job while I was sitting outside having a Pepsi. And I stayed there for 23 years, but my working years, and then I got retired Was I 60 when they retired me? That VA, Social Security.
When you were working at the BLM?
Yeah, 62.
Yeah, about that.
I'm in the old, now I'm in on the backside of 60, like the song says. Yeah, no, now I'm getting into older age, and it's not too bad, but it's boring to retire. I mean,
His retirement isn't what he had imagined.
it's just,
And that's on me.
it's boring to me. Because when they retired, the way they retired me as unemployed, well, I couldn't just retire from one job and go get another job, because after they retired me as unemployable, which meant that I could not go out and work anymore, that it would keep me away from large crowds, or even medium crowds, sometimes small ones, because they would have panic attacks and would get quite mean sometimes.
Hmm.
So that's my phases.
Okay. I like it. Grandma, what about you?
The youth part would be the moving around all the time, changing schools all the time. It's hard. I could appreciate your brothers coming over here. You wanted to, but I could appreciate what they went through here because I went through it several times. Losing my dad so young. Trying to deal with that, and then meeting this old fart.
Trying to deal with that.
We had several relatively good years. Well, for the most part, our marriage has been pretty good. I think we did okay.
It's just been the last 15 or 20 years we don't like each other.
It's not that we don't like each other.
You guys love each other.
We do.
You just know which buttons to press.
Yeah. Going back to work, after the kids were raised and on their own and or able to take care of themselves after school, that's when I started back working part-time and then going full-time. Then working for 20 years and retiring, which I love. I mean, to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I got my house back. It's suffered. You want to talk about our traits that we hate? Procrastination is my number one thing about myself that I hate.
What is?
Procrastination. I can put stuff off like hell. Hell won't have it.
I'm good at it.
But then just, and then going into the next phase, which is getting older, and unfortunately it comes faster than you're ready for it.
Yeah.
You just deal with it.
Well.
Trying to keep the spit in our mouth.
Yeah.
Ew.
Dribbling down
Go
our
ahead.
chins.
What's your most cherished family tradition and why is it important?
Isn't that would be the tradition we started when you were born of putting money in a savings account, and we put money in every payday, and we'd give you that money when you graduated from high school. And then we've continued that so that we can give you money when you graduate college. And then just the Christmas ornaments we started the first year you were born. We bought you a baby's first Christmas. And we've done that with all of the grandkids. We're not continuing that tradition with James. We figured we'd let Lisa pick that up if she chose to. I don't know if she is.
Yeah.
I haven't asked. But we're not continuing. That's a grandma thing, and we'll let her do that.
Yeah.
We've got, I think, one more year with Abby and a few more years left with Danny, and then that'll be done with us because we do it till you're 21.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my mom and dad better do it when I have babies. Hear that, Mom and Dad? Okay. And then last but not least If you could write a message to your children and your grandchildren and put it in a time capsule for them to read 20 years from now, what would you write?
We talked about this.
Well, we talked about how blessed we feel to have them.
Well, what would we write to you, to leave to you guys, for a time capsule? A family time capsule? Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
for the kids to read, if we put, for them to have 20 years from now, what would we say?
Are you gonna read?
No.
I think not to sweat the small stuff. The past is the past and just forget about it. Focus on your future. Try to prepare for your future. Enjoy the moment.
Enjoy each other.
Enjoy and live for, love your family. Doesn't matter, I mean, you guys are gonna be spread all over the place. Lord knows where your folks are gonna wind up. But you're a tight group, and the advantage that you have today is FaceTiming or Skyping or whatever you wanna call it. Technology, as much as I despise it, that is one really big advantage, because no matter where you are on the planet, you can be together.
And remember, as long as we're alive, you always have a place.
And you always have a place to come home to.
Always.
The princess bed is, but I still have the princess covers. I don't have the bed, but I have the covers.
That's okay. It'll feel like the princess bed.
But yeah, just stay tight with your family. Don't lose that connection, ever.
Deal.
So,
Anything from you, Grandpa? Any last words?
Don't shake the box that's tied in here.
Oh gosh. Perfect.
oh, shoot. Always leave laughing.